welcome to Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. With me today is Squire Unknown. Unknown, how you doing?
I'm doing great, as we've previously covered.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. How long have you been playing Amcard?
8 years. December. 8 years in December.
Cool. And how long have you been aware of Amcard?
8 years, December.
8 years. Fantastic. Any story about how you got to know about Amcard and then joined?
Oh, absolutely. So my cousin was actually into it, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously not to the level I'm into it at this point, but she was into it. She met a guy she was interested in, was going to it, and she was like, hey, you got to come. She was pretty much like, hey, come be my wingman. I was like, no, I'm not going to go do that nerd stuff. I'm going to sit at home and just play Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. All right. That was a big, jock ask. I played every sport you can think of just about in the Midwest, and it just wasn't my thing. Well, she brought said guy over, and I lost a 1v1 quick scoping match against him, so I had to go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I went. I hit my first nerd with a bat, and I fell in love. Been doing it ever since.
Well, I that's population growth right there. Let's just go skill challenge some people on COD, and then they have to play Amcard, and then they'll
exactly.
It works. All of the steps. Can you tell us a little bit about your persona? Where does Unknown come from?
So the name itself, because I would refuse to pick a name. Literally 2 weeks after I started, Skyrim was released as a video game. Mm-hmm. And I didn't start playing that until after I'd obviously been playing this game, Amcard. And I didn't have a name. I didn't have a want to create a name. I didn't want to be like Ex Inferno the Third, blah, right? So they're like, all right, if you're not going to create a name, then we're going to make one for you. I was like, okay, that's fine. Just write it down on the paper. And they're thinking about it for a month. And they're like, all right, you're Unknown because you're probably never going to go to anything outside of this park. So you're Unknown. I was like, works for me.
Wow. Way to just go ahead and put it out there. Feel like, you're never going to leave here. So this is what you are.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah. And my original park was one of the most toxic places to start Amcard. But if I'm being completely honest, if I hadn't come up in that kind of environment, I probably wouldn't still be playing.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So the toxic environment was a step moving forward. Okay. I'm getting some notifications in the chat that I'm a little quiet, so I'm gonna do that, and we'll see if that makes any input. Is there an increase for you, Unknown?
There is. I had you turned up on my end, so I'm going to decrease you a little bit.
Technical difficulties. Take a look at the tunic. There's a Muke painting. Absorb it all in, folks. We're doing great. All right. Still gave me the thumbs up, so we're going to move on. You kind of talked to us about your persona, but Sir Anatole has a very important question, and maybe you can find an answer here for us. He simply asks, who?
Who? That's the ultimate discovery. Haven't discovered it yet. I don't know who.
Yeah, it's that you got to step out into the universe and let the universe define. Yeah, you can't. Sir Anatole's he's a smart guy, but sometimes he outthinks himself, and that's the problem here.
Well, see, my original thought was when I first went to my first Kingdom event, I was like, all right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait 7 or 8 years, and then I'm gonna have a persona to where I didn't know my name, and then I found my name, and now I'm known as something else. But at this point, too many people know my name, so
it's
can't change it
It's
now.
an awesome name. No, it's an awesome name. There's absolutely no reason to change it. I love coming to an event or seeing you at a park day and just Unknown. What's going on? It's good stuff. I have to know why the hats. You're pretty prolific for having an assortment of hats when you come to an Amcard event.
Well, I have very palish skin, right? So I like to have full coverage, try to, and the bucket hats really kind of fit. And I'm also like I like to be very aesthetically pleasing for myself. So like if I have a yellow sword and a yellow belt, you got to put the yellow hat on.
There you go.
You got to match. It's a uniform just like anything else, guys.
There you go. It is very appeasing. I also thought maybe you were a fisherman, but you're not. So, well, that's fine. Still had a question. She wants you to define your persona or yourself, however you describe that, in one word.
Lost.
Lost. Big time. Love that. Fantastic. Unknown, could you please tell us what your proudest award and or achievement is in Amtgard?
So my first Kingdom tournament in the Rising Winds, there is the up and comer at that time, because I was obviously not an upcomer at that time, was like showing me stuff on the side, and like 2 weeks before this, I learned the spin shot, like the full ugly back, like. So, I landed that on the guy in the best 2 out of 3 and and beat him out in the sword and board, and then I lost to the next guy. But
okay, all right, fantastic. We typically hear someone about like their first award or something like that, but it's a shot. But with you, it makes sense because fighting is. We're going to get into that here in a minute. Just we'll move on here though. Can you tell us what your favorite battle game is?
Favorite battle game I've ever played, or favorite type of battle game?
I kind of leave that open, so you could pick if there's one that stuck out in the history of the game, or if there's one that you just constantly want to play.
2018 Bridge Wars Rising Winds. So it's obviously the event's called Bridge Wars, right? So the Bridge Wars is set up differently every year. It's same-esque. You got one team here, you got one team here, you got a pool of lives, you go at each other till you die. Well, this particular year, what they did is they had the bridge, and then off to the left, there was a huge gap, probably like 8 or 9 foot gap. And on that side, there was a monster, and if you killed him, it took 30 lives away from the opposing team.
Ooh.
And on the other side, if you jumped, that one wasn't even a jump, it was just like a side thing, and there was a monster over there. If you killed him, your team got a full refresh. And they respawned every 3 or 5 minutes. I can't remember exactly. And it was our fighting company didn't make it. It was one of the colder years. So it was a mix between original Asura minus Brennan. So it was me, trying to think of Amtgard names. I can't think of them. So it was me, Justin, Ben, Molly, and then we also had Tato, we had Screw, we had Raven. I think somehow Lily Sunshine also fought for us. It was like we call ourselves Friend Sura because it was effectively 2 fighting companies that merged one team, and we swept all but one team, but we did beat them. But it came down to like the last 3 or 4 lives.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, it was best game I've ever played. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. So when you're playing battle games, and maybe even specifically in this game, what's your favorite class to play?
I don't necessarily have a favorite class. Mostly in battle games, unless it's like an event battle game, I like to just kind of goof off. So I like to run around as like a monk.
Okay.
So I can be like, I don't have to worry about magic, and then just kind of like walk around, make turkey noises.
Nice. Okay.
Have fun.
Okay. So maybe you don't have a favorite. Do you have a least favorite?
Least favorite class, probably like wizard. It was not for like me. I don't want to spend how many ever hours it takes to learn all of their spells and mechanics for the game.
I mean, it takes 0 hours. You don't have to,
You don't have to, but if you want to play it well.
Right. There it is. All right. And then Sir Smiley to end the bare necessities. What's your favorite weapon combo?
Right now it's flow.
Of course it is. It's the best answer. Okay. That's the bare necessities. We're going to go move on to the 3 questions the KOK viewers have been asking since episode 1. We're going to start with Kron's question. Sir Glenulf is supposed to be receiving a toaster and a soda maker. How do you feel about that?
I feel like he probably deserved them, or he bought them, so he, in essence, deserves them.
Okay. All right. Now, there was a theory put out that we got Sir Glenulf a whole bunch of toasters so that he could make toast for everyone. Are you on board with that?
Absolutely. Who doesn't love toast?
All right. Sir Glenulf, it sounded more and more like the toaster's a certainty. The soda maker is still like a 50-50 split, but we're getting there. Still would like to know, what's your thoughts on bears?
They're big.
That's fact. That's
intimidating, big. They're there whether you like it or not,
Can you possibly name off your top 3 favorite bears?
Types of bears or bear iconic?
I mean, I don't want to put you in a box here. I want to let you explore that idea.
All right, so we're gonna go with icons. I like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
We got Snow, which, if you guys don't know, that's the polar bear's name from CTR Racing Crash. All the youngins.
Okay. Okay.
And then Pumbaa from the Jungle Book. Is that his name?
Baloo?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. I think I should get number 4 because I remembered Baloo. But
You got it.
there we go.
Yeah.
Play for Kodiak. Morgan, Stillhat, suck it. Ha Got it. All right. Morgan would like to know, are there bears on the moon?
If there's life on the moon, there's definitely bears on the moon.
Okay. All right. So there's a first step there. We have to prove life. But if there's life, there are bears. So there we go.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay. Stillhat would like to know, what's your thoughts on Dragonspine getting a mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
I like the thought.
Yeah. The idea right now that I have is putting it on the back of Dom's truck.
I'm for it.
Okay. All right. Would you let bears in the pool and or jacuzzi?
Absolutely.
Okay. And what is your thoughts on how we could fund that jacuzzi?
We buy short shorts for all the volunteers, males preferably. Car wash. We get Dom out there, we get Sane out there, we get Chase out there, we get you out there. I mean, definitely not me. I mean,
well, hold on. You in a bucket hat and just the short shorts?
Okay, you wrote me in.
All right.
But we gotta get Isaac and Eric in there too.
Okay. All right. It sounds like we're asking the wheel to essentially join in.
Well, no. I mean, yeah. Okay. They're good-looking boys. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm not saying it. That's what's going on. All right. Those are the 3 questions that KOK viewers have asked. Now let's get into your categories. I gave you 2 of them. I had looking at the unknown and unknown looking back. So, looking at the unknown, Damon Oblique would like to know, how does it feel to be in the spotlight?
What spotlight?
This spotlight. You're on KOK, baby. This is as big as it gets right now.
I don't know. Honestly, I would give just about any reason to put Garb on right now. So,
hey, I'm a reason. Look at me. I did it, Mom. I got here. She also wants to know, tell us a little bit about the starting of learning to fight in Amtgard. How did you start that process?
Very painfully. So my come up was guys in their mid 40s who used effectively illegal bats. So I had to learn how to block real quick. And then once I showed that I wasn't going anywhere, then they started to come around, show me how to fight, kind of, not correctly, but enough to where, you know, I go visit a park and do well enough that their up and comers would say, hey, this is how you do this properly. Hey, this is how you do this properly. That kind of thing. And it's just kind of like that. It was just a wanting to learn, because in the area I lived in, my kingdom, the pool wasn't very deep. The pool was not very deep. It was like a big fish in a small pond.
Okay.
Not for myself, but for like a lot of the people that were in my area that were, as people say, worth their salt, right? Because of that, it was like a lot of traveling, and it wasn't like, all right, I'm gonna just hop in my car, guys, and I'm gonna drive. It's like, all right, I'm gonna take a bus, and I'm gonna go all the way out here, and then I'm gonna fight with a guy for like 3 hours, and then I'm gonna jump back on that bus and go back home.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of grind, a lot of beat. Okay, sounds good. Well, it doesn't sound good, but I mean that's what it is at this point. But then you got here. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. Still, I would like to know, what do you think the future of the game looks like post-COVID?
I think initially it's going to be a little rough. I think there's going to be a we're back period, and then we're back off period, and then we're back again with the appropriate implications on how we should engage.
Okay.
Right.
And for you, coming back to the game, what would be your short-term goal and long-term goal?
Short-term goal, probably run for like champion or something.
Okay.
Run for champion. Get my feet a little wet there. Long-term goal, warlord.
Warlord. Of course it is. Yeah. Like, for anyone that doesn't know Unknown, like, just find him in an event. It'll be easy. Find out where the foam swords are. He's in that area. That's where he spends his entire time.
Pretty much.
Yeah. A rare question from Lord Aqua. You may know him as Chase. How have you been keeping up with your practice during COVID?
Practice during beginning COVID, we didn't really well, I mean, we would go to park, you know, when it was convenient, you know, we were in the area anyways. But it was mostly just us getting together, us being, you know, me, Isaac, Eric, and then whoever else would show up. We would get together, we'd fight once, twice, maybe 3 times a week if we were lucky. And then after like 3 months, we're like, oh, this is like, we need to, not that we weren't wearing masks, we were just like, we have family that are at risk and we need to, you know, take care of that. Since then, I've just kind of been keeping up like physical demand, you know, finally jumped on a proper diet since I'm not working out as much, kind of thing.
In the chat, Sir Francis has confirmed that he will be joining our Short Shorts car wash. So another body in. All right, we're killing it with that. Sir Anatole would like to know, what do you think is your biggest strength as a fighter, and what do you think is the one thing specifically you need to work on?
The thing I need to work on is patience and probably footwork. As far as what I think my strength is, I think my strength is after the initial exchange. After the initial exchange, there's kind of like this is something me and him have talked about, is we call it like scrambling, and I'm really good at scrambling. So it's like pop, and then we're like in this like red zone, like if we're talking football means, like not like this close to each other. That's where I'm. Okay.
He's got the sound effects down too, folks. It's very clear that he's been fighting. As a talented up-and-comer, this again is from Sir Anatole, and high praise. Talented up-and-comer, what would you do to foster positive and an encouraging environment for fighters at your local park?
At my local park, once it gets started up again, I do intend to run fighter practices. just learning the basics, and if they already know the basics, relearning the basics and kind of showing like a support system. Not that we don't already have one, but at least in the Albuquerque area, there's not a whole lot of people that necessarily go to the fighter practice when there was one, because it was like once a month. We would say, hey, we're fighter practice, and then, not a whole lot of people would show up. Not that that's an issue, but, kind of get that ball rolling, get everyone kind of wanting to fight.
Okay. All right. And now, same question, but let's talk about the kingdom as a whole. What are you specifically going to do for encouragement and positive attitude for the kingdom?
So we used to do this thing called dojo, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm wanting to do is kind of do that starting in PV, and then if interest grows enough and I can get enough heads counted, start traveling over the weekend, leave on a Friday, sleep in a hotel Saturday or Sunday, pop open a fighter practice, film it. And then, post fight, I'm a huge fan. I don't, unless it's someone like I fight with regularly, I don't typically banter a whole lot, like in a series of fights. Post fight, I like to, kind of look back, see what I did right, see what I did wrong, and then also talk with the other people I fought with to see what they thought I did right, what they thought I did wrong, and then vice versa. Me talking with them, hey, you did this, it was really good. Keep doing this. Hey, you did this. Not that it's, and not say it in a negative way, is like, this is bad, don't do this. Be like, you're doing this, it's working for you sometimes, but if you do this instead, you may find more success, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Anatole is actually doing the weekly dojo on Zoom at 11 on Saturdays until 12, just keeping people physically fit, and then also talking about combat and stuff. So yeah, making that a mobile unit for in-person card. It's a great idea. Again, Anatole has a lot of questions this week. What are your favorite fights and why?
My favorite fights, I'll give you my top 3 favorite people to fight. Mm-hmm. And my knight is probably going to be mad at me because he's not in it. Okay, all right. So there's a guy, actually one of the guys from my park that I originally started on, he was the one non-toxic person. He is the best fighter to this date I have fought. I've went and revisited him multiple times in my up and comings, and I still can't hold a candle to the guy. Unfortunately, he was blessed with 8 kids, so he never really got to reach the whole kingdom level. Mm-hmm. But like when people go back and talk about like people that were really good, but they kind of just disappeared out of nowhere, he's one of those people. Hands down, if he went 4 kingdom tournaments, he'd clear them. Okay. His name is Gage, also known as Bobby Ivy. And yeah, crazy. That guy. My next favorite person to fight is gonna be so many good fighters. Mm-hmm.
Did you just blow out a buffalo sauce?
Buffalo sauce, baby.
Hey, look at that.
The next person is Mr. Cranky himself from Las Cruces. The Crankster. The Crankster.
The Crankster. Wow, this is a new nickname. You're going to have to fill us in here. Who's the Crankster?
Kyle Cranky.
Oh, Elmerman. All right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I can think of his. But yeah, I love grinding. Before I even moved out here, I went to my first DS tournament, and I had a really good impression with him. And anytime I'm in Las Cruces, I can kind of just hit him up, and then he'll just show up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He doesn't necessarily want to be there, but he shows up. We grind a lot, which is the kind of fighting I love the most. I love just being up in someone's grill, and then when they can just throw it back at me, Mm-hmm. It's really nice. Instead of just like standing up and doing like one of these things and hit me in the back. Last person is going to definitely be Raven the Swift. originally from my kingdom as well, now resides in Texas. Lefty. He's the reason why I feel like I'm pretty well versed in fighting lefties, because he's very mobile, very agile, very fast, and gave me a lot to tech against lefties.
Okay, cool. As a lefty, I can appreciate that. That's good. Okay, what about your favorite shot to throw?
Ooh. So there's this, it doesn't really have a name, but it's like to teleport step into like this quarter Foshan lives. You know, it's like, I'll just show you.
Oh, our first demonstration at KOK, folks. Oh, this is going to be good. This is probably the one he throws against me and kills me with all the time, and he probably doesn't even know it. Here it is. It comes.
So it's a teleport step, which is, it's a step hidden within a step, right? And while doing that, you do this quarter Foshan lives, because you do the Foshan lives while you're moving. So it's like from all the way back here, it looks like you're throwing this huge thing where it's just this little thing right here. And then it's just wide money, and my head's like right in the middle of their center mass. So it's literally like I'm hugging them like this. It's next time we remind me and I'll show it to you.
Okay, yeah, I can see it. It's
very fast, because if you go too slow, you'll fall.
It's almost like Xi'an's corkscrew, but starting with a Foshan instead of because Xi'an's corkscrew comes in, and then he's still aiming for your right hip with that throw, but you're just staying with you're doing a Foshan at the start of it and then spinning into it.
So it's literally, so you start from outside of your range,
right?
And then I'm in your range, and as I'm coming into your range, I'm throwing this, and my hips are double jointed, so I can do some wonky things if I do it fast enough.
Okay.
So it's literally, I'm like all the way down here throwing this hook shot from the side.
All right. Yeah, you're gonna have to show me that. I asked Xi'an to show me the corkscrew one too, and he was like, "Yeah, sure," and then disappeared before that PV tournament finished up completely. But that's fine, no big deal. It's not about me. Let's get back to the question. Outside, this is another Serenitol question. Outside of fighting, what part of Amguard do you enjoy and why?
I really enjoy social interactions with people that I have fought after the fact, like going to like GOTC, right? Like I'll be there Thursday fighting people, Friday I'll be fighting people, and then Friday afternoon when people are starting to kind of get the drinks in them and stuff, like I'll just be roaming around, a little unknown by himself, and I'll just have groups of people like, "Oh my God, you're so fast. Oh my God, you did this to me. Can you show that to me?" I was like, "Yeah, find me tomorrow when there's light outside." And then it's just like sitting down, and then people come like, "Hey, what's your name again?" "Oh, hey, you're really cool." Blah blah blah. So it's like a lot of. I really enjoy social interactions with people I have never met. It's really something that really motivates me to go to events.
Do you remember what your first post-fight conversation with me was about? I do, because it wasn't about the fight at all. We were in Wyvern's Roost, and it was the first time I brought out my punch shield, and I was fighting Gang, and it was post you and I fighting. We had done a couple fights. You walked away for a minute, probably because you had killed me a lot. But you came back up to me afterwards and was like, "Your calves are huge." And that was your post. That was what you said to me. Your calves are huge. And that was it. I was like, all right, cool, awesome. And then we went back to fighting again. But I was just like, yeah, that makes sense.
You got to appreciate a thick calf, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thickness that you got to be excited about, really. Again, not about me. Lightning would like to know, Will you be coming to visit Iron Mountains in the future?
Yes, when it is appropriate to visit again.
Yes, of course. With that,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I think we're all going to IM at some point, right? Like that's got to happen.
Yeah, there's like this small misconception, like that Nate retiring is like a hint of me also retiring, which is not the case.
And by Nate, you mean Tisco, correct?
Yes, sir.
Speaking of Tisco, as we move away from looking at the unknown, now we're going to look. The unknown's going to look back. So the first category was your perceptions on you. We're looking at you. Now you're going to look at the greater game. And it starts with Tisco. He would like to know the difference between the Rising Winds and Dragonspine.
Fighting wise, it's very much, if you want to learn fighting in the Rising Winds, you got to be part of a particular clique. To be part of a particular clique, you got to go and move heads at events. Fortunately, I was young and dumb and did a lot of stupid things. Not like in a bad way, but like I did a lot of stupid shit, like fighting 14 hours in one day at an event, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And which led to a lot of dehydrations. But because of that, I was able to turn heads and was able to kind of get myself in the door. And if I hadn't done that, there's a chance I wouldn't have been able to learn as much as I did before I moved out here.
Okay.
The difference of that here is all information is open. If you want to know something, there's a night you can message and he will give you appropriate information for. What I mean by cliques is like you have to be a part of a certain social group. And I'm not necessarily going to throw any names out there, but if you weren't a part of like one of 3 fighting companies, you weren't going to go anywhere in the Rising Winds. You weren't going to receive any awards past what your part can give you until you became a part of one of these. So for a large period of time up until recent, well, I wouldn't say recent, like within the last 5 years, before the last 5 years, if you weren't a part of one of these 3 companies, you probably didn't get anything past a 7.
Okay.
And that was because of the culture in Rising Winds. If you weren't cool enough, you didn't get the cool kid awards.
All right. Now, we did jump into this category with that question, but I do want to get the breaking news here. You are not retiring.
Hell no.
KOK exclusive. Unknown is not retired. He will be coming back with a vengeance to teleport and whatnot on us all. All right. Fantastic. Okay. Still would like to know your opinion on Dragonspine's amendment that got passed about non-men and female tournaments in Dragonspine.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's good for the game. I don't see any. It's a conversation me and Isaac have like tapped on a couple times, like him just talking to me and me asking him questions about his concept on everything. I think it's good for the game. Obviously, so does he. He's someone that pushed that amendment, I believe, fairly hard. It's I think it's good for the game. It's going to give female fighters a want to. In my opinion, I feel like not that they weren't motivated to fight before, but they may be more motivated to fight now that not that there's a tournament specific for them, but there's a tournament specific. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be more there's more opportunities presented to more players.
Exactly.
Right. Also, Sir Glenelf was mentioning the idea of doing a tiered system. So much like what GOTC does, where there's a 0 to 4 tournament, there's a 5 to 7, what have you, so that each time there's a tournament, we're promoting people. More people are getting a chance to get more promotions more quickly, so that if a 0 to 4 tournament fighter does well, they're not going to be in that tournament anymore. And they have to start the grind of being in that mid tier and working towards their skit program. Something that we're kind of passing around now is this idea of Sword Knight in training, Serpent Knight in training, and matching to a peer or matching to someone slightly better than you, and not having to immediately go to a Sword Knight and be like, hey, I have to beat that guy to grow today. Versus,
right. No, sorry, continue.
Versus, hey, I might have to beat Unknown today to continue, or I have to beat Kodiak today to continue. To me, it was I have to beat Quirt today, to continue, and it just changing what the philosophy is of growth versus I have to beat Anatole. Well, that's not going to happen. So,
Yeah, well, there's like one of a couple like theoretical issues with that, right? There's a chance you're not going to get enough numbers for all the tournaments, right? Because if you only have 2 warlords and then there's just a 1v1 for the 7 to higher, there's that. And then there's also the chance you run into people hearing about this from opposing kingdoms, and then not that it would be a bad thing for them to come to our kingdom, but they may be, stuck by a particular person. So they would just come here, get their whatever, like say they're going from like trying to go from 5 to 6, and they find out that the tournament's going to be a little shallow for whatever reason. Or it's just these people that are going to be in that part of the tournament. Like, oh, I can just beat these guys. And then they come here, they get recognition from our kingdom to their kingdom that they won a tournament, and then they get an award. That's the only thing I potentially see going on with that.
Well, sure. And I mean, but that's the case that can happen in any tournament, in any situation.
Oh, absolutely.
We could have no brackets and just a level 5 or 6 fighter come here and be like, well, I can pick off enough lower end Dragonspine fighters, which I'd like to see them try, to be frank. Dragonspine is very hard to fight in.
We do kind of have the deepest pool.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, I have seen people come to our kingdom tournaments, and I've traveled to out of kingdom tournaments, and Dragonspine's got a very high standard, which we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Perfect.
Maybe that standard being a little too high, but if someone came from another kingdom, even if they did well as the local or as the kingdom monarch currently, I would still be like, I'm probably reaching out to their kingdom to be like, hey, here's how they did.
Right.
At that Pegasus Valley tournament, the last one that you and I fought in together, that we had people come in from Iron Mountains, and I reached out to their monarchy, and I was like, hey, this is how each one of them did. Just so you're aware, you do with that information what you will. But that could be a hang up that we may have to look into moving forward with that idea. But moving on, I still would like to know, what is the best park in Dragonspine?
Depends on what you're trying to achieve.
Oh,
right?
Well, break it down for me. Let me hear where I go.
If you're battle gaming, obviously it's going to be PV.
Okay.
The reason it's an obvious, at least in my eyes, is I believe we had the highest player count, and from personal from personal experience, a lot of our player base are battle game centric. So like when they're at home, they're not thinking about, oh, how do I throw this hook shot without it getting blocked? They're thinking of, it'd be a really cool game if we added this element and then we made a maze to get to this part, and then this is the objective. Right. And that's basically when we have a monarch team or champion, that's typically their main focus. They're focused on creating these great games for our very RP loving players that we have at the park every week.
Right.
Or had.
Okay. So that's if you want the best battle games. So what park am I going to if I want the best artisans?
Artisans is probably best artisans and best fighters is probably going to be DS proper.
Oh, okay.
The reason I say both, and if Isaac, if you're listening to this, I love you, buddy, but our warlords don't show up every week, right?
Right.
But in DS proper, from what I understand, you got Saint out there every week, you got Cord out there every week, you got Dom out there most weeks, Chase when he decides to show up, Joe when he decides to show up. You also have Randall, and then many other people that I can't also come to remember. For artisans, again, you got Randall, and then you got Amy. Then you have Robert Baker. I remember he's a good at artisting stuff.
Yeah, so Azul Jade, Sir Francis, these are your knights unknown. You need to know these things. These are important things to have in your repertoire.
Yeah, like I said, they're really good at arting things.
They're arting.
Ruth Baker's really good at that stuff as well.
Another knight. No pressure here. Well, and also those are two of the New Mexico parks. But if you're looking for the mirror images in Arizona, Glassforge Highland is a very big RP and battle game centric park. And your fighters in Arizona, Obsidian Gate has Morgan, which is a big threat. Yang's a decent fighter coming out of Wyvern's Roost. But I mean, obviously, I'm going to take some credit there. You named me as a DS member, as someone who's, whatever.
All I'm saying is these guys don't really have a whole lot of experience fighting lefties outside of you, Rin, and Chase. You guys are all at the same park.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's fair. Again, though, Morgan is a big threat as a lefty. He's also 6'3". He's also 200 plus pounds. So,
yeah, I mean, he's also a lefty. Like, come on.
Oh, he's also a lefty. All right, Morgan, step up your off here.
Yeah, let me throw a little bit of shade there.
No, Morgan's great. Morgan, Kingdom Monarchy. We love us some Morgan on here. And again, we're gonna get into the over standard here in a minute. But let's go to your favorite Amp memory.
So you should have sent these questions to me ahead of time.
I didn't want to do that. I like having you on the spot. The KOK viewers love seeing people struggle. Now, so it's interesting, though, Unknown, because when I asked you about your award or achievement that you cared about the most, this is a memory that you brought up. It wasn't an award or an achievement. It was a memory. So maybe
no, it was definitely an achievement.
Okay.
Because it was definitely an achievement because it was Proby. Yeah, his name is his name's not Proby, but that's his name. Yeah, I did it to Proby, and I beat him. Suck on that, loser.
Okay.
Honestly, my greatest Amp memory. Trying to think, there's so many good ones.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with playing for so long is you build so many good memories, right? Well, I'll give you time to think about it. What about your favorite event?
Favorite event? Keeping the Borderlands.
Okay. Any specific reason why, or is it just it's the biggest, or?
It's the biggest. Number one, all the people I've met and have developed close relationships with. Typically, if I go to that event, if I skip every event all year and I go to that event, I get to see all of them.
Cool. Okay.
And typically that even includes all the West Coasters like Isaac and Eric. And I know Sane was mentioning he's potentially looking to hit that one up at some point. So
yeah, there might be a push from the Southwest to go this year. I might be.
I'm not sure if you heard, but it's already a no-go for this year.
Well, okay.
You mean next one, but I was like, if you didn't know, I got some bad news for you, buddy.
Well, thanks for making me look silly on my own show. I appreciate that. That's cool. You didn't know the Knights names, which is important. That's fine. We'll move on. Your favorite memory is hanging out with Kodiak. That's fine. Still would like to know. This is the question you and I talked about before the episode started. As a 3D printer becomes an item in more residential homes, what is your opinion on players submitting printed items for ANS?
My opinion is that if you're going to submit something for an arts and science show for the game of Amp-Card, it needs to be Amp-Card related. Now, if you were 3D printing, so like for larger awards, right, like 8, 9, 10, saying, hey, Before 8, you can. I would suggest that if it's AMP card related, and you said, "I designed this, and this is what my 3D printer did," then and you painted it, right? If it's something 8, 9, 10, it would have to be something more larger scale. Like, I printed out this landscape. This landscape develops the kingdom of Dragonspine, and these group of players that I printed out represent each park, and this is what each park is. Mm-hmm. It might be a little over exaggerated, but in my personal opinion, if you're going to submit something into an AMCARD ANS environment, it needs to be AMCARD centric. Okay,
let's modify the question a little bit here. Do you think that if someone is 3D printing stuff, whether it's they're making their own goblets and plates and stuff, does that need to be more grandiose than if they were making it on their own?
No. Again, you would submit. I would think that you would need to submit the design that you created. If it's just something you found on the internet, and unless you're presenting it as like a relic, and it's like you printed it out and then you painted it, and then maybe even you engraved something into it, right? Mm-hmm. Like you did one for the whole Monarchy team, that you're trying to bribe them for an award, but you would, paint her all up and then be like, this is for Kodiak, and this is for whoever else is in office, and this is for whoever else is in office. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, whoever else is in office, your Kingdom Monarchy team.
Exactly.
Whoever they are.
I know all of them by name, but I'm going to leave that to the viewers to know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to let the viewers figure that out. I know you're so wise. That's why
what would you do without me on the show?
Yeah, exactly. Still had once off the top of your head, rain theme. Go.
Rain theme. That's a hard question.
Unknown sits and thinks about a raid team. That's the
Musketeers.
Musketeers. Okay. There it is. Bam, did it. There was 3 of them. So 4 if you count. But there's 3 of them. That gives you something to work with. Mm-hmm. So that's not bad. Okay. The big question: does Dragonspine have too high of a standard for knighthood?
That's a yes and no question.
Okay, and I would love to hear both sides of that.
Can we do this like I believe so for a sword, right? Uh-huh. Typically what we require, at least from what I've heard, is you get your 10th, you get your warlord, and then you're required to win a couple more just to validate that warlord that you received. In most kingdoms, when you get the warlord, you get the SK belt. Okay. In my opinion, I feel like it's kind of in a good place, because you need to show not only that you're your warlord, but in my opinion, in my knight's opinion, that's not where you stop learning. You don't, I got my warlord, I'm done, adios, drop mic, leave. That's when your real learning and developing process, because as a sword knight, you need to not only be good at fighting, but you also need to be good at teaching. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to show people what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right. In some cases, it's a little harder because different people learn differently, right? Mm-hmm. But I think to some degree, like in some cases, some people could just win up to their warlord and then get stuck, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're sitting on that warlord, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing. But if they're there, they got the skill level, and they're putting an effort towards being able to teach at a higher standard for the ability to fight, I think they've definitely earned it.
So, I mean, Masterhood, which warlord is mm-hmm. They are
acknowledged.
A significant. They have the knowledge of that belt line, mm-hmm. and then you take the knighthood would be, are they the leader inside of that category as well?
Right.
And if you want to be a warlord, that means you have to win the fights. If you want to be the belt line, you want to be a sword knight, you also have to be the teacher there. The leader aspect has to be present.
Absolutely. Well, here, let me add on to what I said. The reason I think you should have to be, obviously, you have to get your warlord.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're still consistently getting second and third at that point, at that point, you've given the effort, you've shown the effort that you can teach. At that point, in my opinion, I believe swordhood or knighthood should be given. Once you've completed masterhood and you've shown that you are willing and able to teach the craft that you got yourself to masterhood, in my opinion, I feel that you should get the knighthood. Okay. Because knighthood shouldn't be about you're the best for this amount of time, right? It should be you were on top and you're able to teach everyone that is trying to learn that craft, fighting, sewing, battle gaming, you know what I mean, singing. And I don't
know. Singing. Yeah, that's okay. Okay. I agree. So there's conversations being had currently in the game as a whole that, and we've seen this in some kingdoms, where a player doesn't need to receive their warlord, which is essentially saying they don't need to receive their masterhood to become a sword knight. Are you comfortable with that?
I disagree with that.
Okay. And there's that.
Because it doesn't make sense to not have your masterhood, but give the ability to teach people to get to their masterhood, right?
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. All right. So what are your thoughts on Grey Knights? So there's the Paladin, anti-Paladin discussion across Dampguard as a whole. Dragonspine specifically is talking about the beginning of the concepts of the Grey Knight. They're not a Paladin. They're not an anti-Paladin. And they would offer Santa Fe Grill when you become that knight. How do you feel about that?
See, the weird thing is, you said Santa Fe Grill, but I heard Taco Bell for some reason.
Oh, well,
because that's what you guys give to people when they come to your park.
Well, yeah, but
you give them Taco Bell.
Yes, but if you're going to become what you're doing here is you're conflating two different arguments. What do we give people to come visit our park? Well, Taco Bell. That's a kind thing to do.
Yeah, well, Santa Fe Grill is only in Las Cruces.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Your park happens to be also in Las Cruces. So if I come to your park, you're saying that I'm going to get Taco Bell and Santa Fe Grill?
You know what, Unknown? I've done weirder things.
I approve.
Okay, there it is. Grey Knighthood by Unknown is approved as long as Santa Fe Grill's involved. And apparently we have to do Taco Bell too.
As long as it Santa Fe Grill after tournament. Listen, people, don't be going to Santa Fe Grill on the way to the tournament.
Nope.
Royce, bad idea.
No.
Royce, if you're in here, bad idea. Don't do it again.
Sir Baihu, please do not eat Santa Fe Grill before the tournament.
Okay.
All right. So that covers all of the knighthood questions. One more question, maybe five more, who knows? And then we're going to get to the serious questions. We call them the funny ones. Tell us about your belt line. You mentioned your knight. Who is that?
I got a pretty cool one.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're kind of, we're all, probably the best belt line, there is out there.
Oh. Okay.
It's me, and then, obviously the knight Isaac. He's pretty cool dude. Mm-hmm. Then we got Randall. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we also got Kira. Mm-hmm. We got, we had Eric. And then we had Brian. Other Brian. He's Brian 2, by the way.
He's Brian 2? Okay.
Yeah, he's Brian 2. Uh-huh. You can quote me on that one.
I mean,
we have Quirt as well.
Yeah. Sir
and then
Francis, who's in that belt line as well. Yeah.
Who?
Sir Francis.
Yeah, we got Francis. He's a pretty cool guy too.
Yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about your belt line, just a little bit, but
Wait, are you in the belt line?
No. Okay. No, I don't take. I don't take belts. That's not I don't. Ask Baihu. He's asked me 3 times. Anyways,
I got a pretty cool black looking one over here. If you.
No thanks. I like that look though. This half face camera look that you got going on right now. It's fantastic. But no. No, it's fine. I'm good. But thank you for giving us the belt line. Here we go with the most important questions on KOK, which is what we call the funny ones. Stillhat would like to know, what's your strangest talent?
My strangest talent is that my legs are double jointed, which means at any given time, I can kind of just do the splits.
Okay. All right. Stillhat would also like to know, what is the most controversial comic book hot take that you have?
Define hot take. I just want to make sure.
Something that, I mean, you feel passionate about, something that may stir a little bit of the Kool-Aid a little bit, maybe make some people angry, maybe something that's not necessarily considered the popular opinion.
Oh, yeah. There's this comic that came back out in 94 called The Max, developed by Top Cow, I believe. Mm-hmm. It was based on a guy who is effectively a paranoid schizophrenia, that in his schizophrenia, well, it doesn't define it as he's going into paranoid schizophrenia, but he gets to this, like, he goes to sleep and wakes up in this other world, right? Mm-hmm. And then in that world, it's like jungly, right? And he saves a girl every time he dreams, effectively. And then he meets the same girl in the day, obviously dressed differently because it's like New York in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And then there's like darkness, things that he has to defend her from, as for whatever reason, they're trying to attack her. That or The Pit, also same kind of. Have you ever heard of The Pit or
I haven't.
The Max?
I've heard of Max, but not The Pit.
Well, Max was cool because MTV developed a TV series around it as well.
Okay.
But it's hard to find.
Okay.
The Pit is a boy finds out he has a brother, but his brother is an alien. And he's this big, beefy dude with like wristbands, but the wristbands are like chains. And he develops powers because his brother's an alien, obviously, and they kind of like go and protect the world and shit. It's pretty cool.
It sounds like a comic book version of Twins, but that's, little Schwarzenegger DeVito thing going on. Anyways, what the hell is going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's why they asked.
We're part of it.
I don't know. The hell? What is
they need to ask more specific questions.
Stillhat, you're on the clock. All right.
Come on, Stillhat. What the hell, dude?
Best Amtgard conspiracy.
Oh. Does a conspiracy have to be true or not?
No, it does not. It actually works better if it is not true.
Texas Amtgard sucks.
Okay. All right. What's your most controversial food hot take?
Ooh, food. I'm a big fan of green chili.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Is a taco a sandwich?
Yes.
All right. You're on the right boat. Is cereal a soup?
Yeah.
All right. Does that make oatmeal a stew?
Well, a stew is a soup. So yes.
Okay. All right. How do you know when pasta is done correctly?
When you can throw it against the wall and it sticks.
All right. The old tried tradition of throwing it against the wall. Okay. Does Tajima deserve ice cream?
Everyone deserves ice cream.
Ooh, okay. That's a strong stance to take on KOK, Unknown. I just want you to be aware of that. That's a very strong stance to take. But okay, here we go. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Funniest animal that you've ever owned?
Funniest?
Yep.
A dog? A cat? Cats are crazy.
Okay, cats are crazy. Lightning would like to know, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
100 duck-sized horses.
Okay, any specific reason why?
Have you ever fought a regular-sized duck?
I can't say that I have. It's not.
You never been chased down by one?
No.
I couldn't imagine getting chased down by a giant one.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. What anime or TV show lives rent free in your head?
Oh, that's pretty easy. Let me grab it real quick. 1 second. I gotta just make sure I'm.
Oh man, is Unknown's got another thing for us? Look at this show and tell that we're getting with Unknown today.
Let's see if we can find it. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right now, it's my jam.
All right. Awesome. Was Tobirama right?
Who's that?
The second Hokage from Naruto.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so the Uchiha was supposed to die. Okay, got it.
Change fast.
Unknown. How big is Lumpy?
How big is Lumpy? Like from One Piece?
Lumpy, the black dragon of Dragonspine.
They're pretty big.
Yeah.
I drive past his dragon spine every fucking morning.
Yeah. Do dragons dream?
Absolutely.
Do you happen to know what they drink, what they're dreaming of? Or?
Well, that depends on what's on their mind.
Oh, okay. All right. They're not narrow-minded. Got it. Okay. What is the best Smash character?
Ooh, which version of Smash are we talking about?
Ooh. Well,
Pikmin. Or no, Mr. Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch. 100% Mr. Game & Watch.
Okay. All right. Okay. Balder would like to know, based on their zodiac sign, who would have the best chance of beating a polar bear in a fist fight?
Which zodiac sign is the one that runs away? Let's say Aries.
Aries. Yeah, Aries. Right there, Aries. Yeah, you're the one. You're the problem. Last question. What is Kodiak's celebrity look like, and why is it Fozzie the Bear?
It's good because you're both bears.
Yep, there's
Both bears.
Yeah, both bears.
Case open, case closed.
I know. Thank you so much for coming on. Let me just do some announcements real quick, and we'll say our goodbyes. Dragonspine, we got a whole bunch of voting done last week. Fantastic, great job on that. The Sir Anatol's Dojo still running this weekend at 11 to 12 on Saturday. Please make sure you're getting that. Please check the awards that are posted on the Kingdom page. If you were awarded something and were unaware of it, or you thought you were awarded something and didn't receive it, let us know so that we can get that fixed for you. Dragonspine and Burning Land members, there is the DSBL RP page. Please, if you want, go interact with that page, do some role play, get an opportunity to get some of your creative ideas out of the way. For anyone in the game of Amp-Guard or anyone that knows anything, we are just over 2 weeks away from the fundraiser for St. Jude's Children's Hospital ending. If we can get that to $5,000, there's going to be a whole bunch of facial hair lost. We got to $500. My beard is gone as of February 28th. We got to $1,000. Cato's beard is gone as of February 28th. But Sir Smiley's mustache is still there. Sir Francis is going to get a mohawk and a soul strip. All we got to do is get the $5,000. If you know any single person that can donate, please do so. Again, this is for the kids at St. Jude's Hospital. Please reach out and do that. I think that's actually all the announcements for this week. Next week, we have Goldcrest on for our 48th episode. It'll be the fake year, 48 episodes, 4 weeks in a 12 months. Yeah, and then have fun with that. Unknown, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a blast. I miss hanging out with you. Nice talking. We need to fight as soon as possible when we can. So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Until next time, I've been Kodiak. This is Kingdom of Kodiak.